If you're going to tell an anecdote that involves a problem or difficulty, it's a good idea to get a piece of paper, fold it in half and half again so you have 4 rectangles. Draw another rectangle in the middle and label the rectangles on the outside S, O, A and R for situation, obstacle, activity and result. In the rectangle in the middle, write about what you want to talk about. Maybe a problem with a meeting, an issue with a presentation. Think about how easily you can simplify your anecdote using simple structure and simple vocabulary. Add ideas, vocabulary, and maybe some grammar tenses that you might have to use. You can introduce your anecdote with a phrase like, "Have I ever told you about the time I was late for a meeting?" Or, "Do you remember the digital conference? Well, I almost forgot my speech." Once you have the idea for the anecdote, think about the situation or background. Think about the vocabulary you need and also the tenses you need. Think about where you were, why you were there, and add a short description. Complete the rectangle with lots of ideas. So for example, I had to give a speech at a digital conference in London. The event was huge and I had never spoken in front of so many people. Once you've done that, move on to the rectangle below where you give information about the obstacle or problem. Again, add vocabulary, add tenses, so in this case maybe you'll use the past simple and past continuous, and think about what the obstacle was and how you felt. So for example, I was going up to the stage when I realized I had left my presentation at the hotel. I felt so scared I thought I might be sick. After you've done that, move across to the next rectangle where you give information about the action you took to overcome the obstacle or problem. What was the problem and how did you solve it? Again, think about the vocabulary or expressions that you might need and the tense. In this case, it will probably be the past simple. So for example, while I was about to be introduced, I wrote a quick framework on a piece of paper with keywords. I was so focused on the framework that I forgot my nerves and gave a perfect presentation. After that, you move up to the final rectangle where you give information about the final result or what you learnt, or maybe how it has affected you. Maybe you'll use tenses such as the past tense or even a conditional. So an example, the audience applauded and I got good feedback. My improvisation was better than my planned presentation. I learnt that although it's important to plan, it's also important to be confident in your work and your abilities. Okay, so that's the S.O.A.R technique. You use situation, obstacle, action and results. If you break it down simply, it's always easy to tell an anecdote.